Great. Thank you so much, Nawaf, and thank you all for the great participation in the first part of this session. The second part of today's session is around LinkedIn, and it looks like one of our participants, Anwar, thanks for your reference there as well. Certainly participants can check it out after the session. So for the second part on LinkedIn, our objectives are that you are able to set up your own LinkedIn profile if you don't have one already. If you do have one already, apply some tips that we'll share to strengthen your profile. We will be going over some best practices for LinkedIn as well for you to understand, as well as talking about and describing proper etiquette for interacting with colleagues and potential employers on LinkedIn. So as we move to the next slide, LinkedIn, if you can believe it, once you've joined LinkedIn, you're joining a network of over 1 billion members in 200 countries and territories worldwide. When we started working with youth in Iraq, maybe 3 years ago or 4 years ago, after the pandemic, LinkedIn had 660 million members. Since then, it's grown by 400 million people. So that's a huge network for you to be a part of around the world. Next slide. So please write yes in the chat if you do have a LinkedIn account, just so we can get a sense of how many of you already have a LinkedIn account. Okay, the yeses are coming. And I remember from the in-person Career Preparation Academy that a few of you hadn't had one yet, and that's okay too. Today we're going to briefly discuss, if you don't have one, how to set it up, and then we'll talk through tips for all of you who have them already. Thank you for those answers in the chat. So setting up a LinkedIn account, if you don't have a LinkedIn account yet, you simply go to linkedin.com, and this will take you to your front page of LinkedIn where you set up an account. And it will walk you step by step through the different parts of a profile. It's very user-friendly. And as you saw just on the slide before, LinkedIn is used by over 1 billion people around the world in over 200 countries around the world. So it's a very user-friendly process for how to set up an account with all of the different sections in the account. Next slide. So we'll go through some tips on LinkedIn. First is that we encourage you to add a professional profile photograph. A good photograph, it increases the credibility of your profile and it helps you stand out from others in the crowd. Also, we learned from LinkedIn itself that if you have a picture on your profile, it's likely to be seen much, much more than a profile that doesn't have a picture. So some tips are to dress professionally for your photo, take it in a well-lit space, use a solid colored wall in your house or apartment as a backdrop, and of course, look directly into the lens of the camera. So that's your first tip, is to have a professional profile photo for your LinkedIn profile. Then for the headline of your profile establishes your professional brand and it shows a few traits about you. You want to make it accurate and engaging. So for example, we have a colleague at IREX and her headline was Program Coordinator at IREX, working in the education practice on Iraq programs. So this colleague, when she made this profile, she had about 3 to 4 years of work experience at that point. So she lists her title, the name of the organization, and what she does, educational programs, educational practice for Iraq programs. Some examples for you, if you're currently a student, one example is aspiring marketing professional, pursuing a bachelor's degree in marketing and advertising, class of 2025. So this lets future employers know that you want to go into marketing, you're pursuing your bachelor's degree, what your bachelor's degree is in, and that you'll be graduating in 2025. If you have graduated already and perhaps you're looking for a job, you could say something like University of Baghdad engineering graduate with an interest in modeling and AI. So this shows you've graduated and what your interests are. Also shows what field you graduated in. So those are just a few examples for you for what you may put on a profile headline. All right, let's go to the next slide, please. So question, which of these headlines sounds the most professional to you? I'll read them out loud to you and feel free to put your answer in the chat. So A, working on my bachelor's degree, but not sure what I want to do after graduation. B, engineering student, some internship experience, ready for full-time employment. C, third-year pharmacology student with internship experience, helping others maintain a healthy lifestyle. Or D, none of these. So we're getting some answers in. Great, keep them coming. Yeah, good job. So in terms of a headline, of all of these, C would be the best. And let me explain why C and not B or A. C shows this student is a pharmacology student, so we know what their major is. They do have internship experience and what their interests are, helping others to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So we know third year pharmacology student, internship experience, interest in helping others maintain a healthy lifestyle. We know 4 points about the person. For B, we know they're an engineering student, but some internship experience. That's a little bit vague. Ready for full-time employment. Employment in what? So you want to be a little bit more specific. And then for A, working on my bachelor's degree, but not sure what I want to do after graduation. We also need to be more specific in LinkedIn. We need to ensure that when we're communicating to the outside world, we're showing our interests and we're showing what we're interested in doing. If that explanation makes sense to you, please write a 1 in the chat. Okay, great. Thank you. So you'll want to think about this for your own headline. Great, thank you, everybody. Let's go on to the next slide. So think for a moment, and you can share it in the chat if you'd like, or you can do it as your own exercise. Think about the examples that we shared with you and the one that you just looked at, and think about what you would want your headline to say to describe yourself to potential employers. So for example, fourth year marketing student or fourth year engineering student interested in full-time employment, or recent graduate interested in, and then stating your interests. Think about what your own headline would be. For the purpose of time, we'll keep going, but this will be part of your work on your own LinkedIn profiles.